All right, what's up, college football fans? We're back, another live show, QB Spotlight, our first video recapping the play from week one. We'll see how many people we have jump in, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll see, who knows. But we do have a good little schedule plan today that we want to dive into some of the top performances and some of just the quarterback topics and quarterback storylines that plagued, I guess, week one that we want to dive into. But if this is your first time tuning in, QB Spotlight is our channel. We talk all things quarterback, specifically the college quarterback position. So we started doing these lives recently. We have two live shows a week, where we're talking about the games, we're previewing, then we're recapping, right? And with that said, we still have our interviews coming up. We still have our current and former quarterbacks that come on these podcasts. And of course, we have these other film breakdowns that we dive into. But today we're recapping the games, we're recapping the quarterback performances from week one. And anyone watching, if you're diving in or tuning in, let us know in the comments below what quarterback you want to talk about. If you want to talk about someone that we don't have on the list, we'll go ahead and dive into it. We have our PFF grades pulled up, some other stuff pulled up. So if you're interested in what those grades are like for your quarterback, let us know, and we'll dive into it and look into it. So with that said, also, I got to mention, like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. I always forget to do that. So please like, subscribe. That is that. Love to talk Connor Wigman, Colin Boone. Of course, yeah, we'll jump and talk about him for sure, man. Thanks for tuning in, Colin. I don't know how do I display that? Do I display it? Oh, look, nice. We're growing, guys. Nice. Awesome. Love to talk Connor Wigman. Well, Connor, since we have a few people in here, let's go ahead and talk some Wigman, and then we'll jump into Shedeur Sanders because we have to talk him first, right, with the game. But Connor Wigman, not a ton to necessarily see here, just because the fact that it was New Mexico. But with that said, you got to be happy with 18 and 23, 5 touchdowns. I mean, the offense did look a bit more vertical, and you would probably agree, even though it was probably kind of vanilla play calling, but did look a bit more vertical in week one. And games like New Mexico in the past, I think A&M has not necessarily blew those teams out, right? Like if you look at, was it Kent State a few years ago, and Haynes Kingstar had a few picks, didn't look great. They had Sam Houston last year where they didn't pull away till later on. So it was nice to see A&M blow out a team that they were supposed to blow out, right? And do it in like a dominant fashion, not towards the tail end of the game, essentially. So I think Wigman is an extremely talented cat, and we're going to see a lot. We're going to see a lot, this week 2, when they play Miami. We'll have a game preview coming out later on, Colin, with that actually that you may enjoy. Let's see. Seemed like he knew when to take the deep shot and look good when he got pressure. Yeah, absolutely. I think, whether that's Jimbo or Petrino or both, that's definitely a good sign, because like I said, I do think they went a bit more vertical starting off, right? So that's encouraging to see. And of course, it was New Mexico. They dominated like they were supposed to. But like we mentioned, they haven't always dominated those teams the past few years. So it was nice to see that, right? I think it did definitely get them kind of hopefully warmed up for Miami. And this is going to be the big test here. I think we won't spend too much time previewing because I want to recap stuff. But I do think this game against Miami is huge for Miami and A&M. And depending on who wins, it could really either point this team in the right direction or, trend in not so good direction. But we'll definitely be covering that game, Colin, and have some more Connor Wigman stuff. But definitely you can't be mad at 18 and 23 with 5 TDs and able to, sit and watch while the second half as Max Johnson went in and got playing time. So a really good start for Wigman, good start for A&M. Thank you for bringing that up, man. And we'll definitely have another preview of that Miami and A&M game coming up this weekend. So with that said, let's talk Shedeur Sanders. And anyone that has watched this channel before knows that we put out several film breakdowns of Shedeur. We talked about, let me see if I can hide this real quick. Sorry. Okay. We talked about what we feel like he needed to do against TCU's defense. We talked about his strengths. I think the first film breakdown we put on Shedeur was probably like 6-7 months ago or 8 months ago, whenever Prime left to go to Colorado. And the one thing that stuck out on film at Jackson State was his ability to process defenses, his ability to process what the defense was doing pre-snap and post-snap. That's exactly what he did against TCU, and you saw that on display. There's no drop-off from the FCS level to the level against TCU, and so he just went out and he pretty much himself, his position offensively, Colorado dominated the game, right? So with Shedeur, you saw him process defenses, but you also saw him hit on some factors that we mentioned that was important against TCU, and that was get the ball out quick. A lot of that is Sean Lewis's offense, and he did that. but he got the ball out quick, knew where to go with the ball, right? A lot of that has to do with his ability to read the defense, but also Sean Lewis's offense. I thought Sean Lewis called a great game for Sanders, and they got him comfortable early. You're able to get into a rhythm early. If you allow a good quarterback like Sanders to get into a rhythm early, then it's dangerous, and we definitely saw that as the game went on, right? So got the ball out quick, got into a rhythm early. Then another thing that I thought was beneficial that they did was take some deep shots early, even though they didn't hit on the deep shots right off the bat. That still allowed, that still was something that was in TCU's defense's mind, that they know, okay, they're going to take a shot deep, right? That opened up some more stuff underneath for Shedeur Sanders. And like we mentioned in the game preview, get the ball out quick, take some deep shots. They didn't even use all of Sean Lewis's offense, if I'm being honest. Like, there's still some untapped offensive schemes and strategies that Sean Lewis has in his offense from Kent State that they didn't even need to use. So it definitely helps having that talent, that competition, or the skill guys that he has to throw to. But man, yeah, he looked great, and we put out a film breakdown of him yesterday of Shedeur, and you saw several clips of him processing defenses, breaking on the defense, but then you also saw like this really nice touch on his passes. I forget the play it was too, but it was a really, really nice two ball, right? So not a 1, not a 3. It was just a nice two ball where he's able to fit it in over the backers and before the safeties, which I thought he did a really, really nice job doing. So Shedeur Sanders, probably what's up, David? Absolutely. Talking some Shedeur Sanders for you. But yeah, I thought he just, that you can't say enough good things about the first game. Now, obviously, you got to go replicate it and do it again. But for what week 1 was, there was really nothing left on the table that you wanted to see from him. I think he just showed everything that he did at Jackson State. He showed the ability to do that at this level and more. So we'll have a film preview, a film breakdown, or film preview of Shedeur Sanders and Nebraska coming up. Maybe in a day or two, we'll put that out. But yeah, that definitely had to be the QB play of the weekend. Had to go to Shedeur Sanders without a doubt. Again, we could spend more time going on this, but if you want more Shedeur Sanders talks, go check out our most recent film breakdown of Shedeur, and we break down like 3 or 4 plays that we thought were his best plays of the game. Again, processing defenses, moving the defense with your eyes. Let's see. Shedeur was as close to perfect as it gets on Saturday. Yeah, absolutely, David. He was. Any Colorado fans or any Shedeur Sanders fans, y'all go check out my guy David. David talks Buffs, does a great job talking Colorado football. But yeah, he was as close as perfect as you could get. I haven't dove too much in the preview yet. Nebraska does have a pretty good defense, and there's some things and different ways to attack that. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun preview for sure. I can't wait to talk some Shedeur Sanders. All right, man. Let's keep moving on, guys. Let's talk Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis from J.N. Daniels. The game last night, probably the most anticipated game of Colorado definitely was, but besides that, this is probably the biggest game of the weekend, right? LSU, Florida State, college football playoff potentials and hopes for each one. Florida State, not gonna lie, the beginning of the game, I thought LSU could not take away the game, but I thought LSU had opportunities to get out to a bigger lead. FSU was able to kind of weather that storm, essentially. They bowed up on defense big time, especially in those short yard situations, and then they responded. They made the changes they need to make, and that's a showcase of a good potential college football playoff team being able to do that, right? So let's talk Jordan Travis. If you look at his PFF grades, right, they're not going to be anything spectacular, right? If you go through PFF, I don't even see him in the top. I don't even see them in the top, 20, 50 here. But I think this is a good example of a really good performance that maybe doesn't show up on the big stats because of the play early, right? Like when you saw his interception that he threw was a bad interception. He almost had another pick in negative territory that would have put LSU in great position. It was dropped, where he just kind of flowed the ball over the middle of the field. So those 2 plays, the play at the beginning, he that's probably what led to him not having like a great grade, right? But I thought he played a great game for the simple fact he showed the ability to bounce back. After that bad head-scratching throw he threw, Travis was 14 of 16, several touchdowns, and they went on like a 30-something to nothing run, something like that, 30-something to 3 run after that. So I think the ability to bounce back from that bad mistake and kind of that head-scratching play showed a lot of in Travis. And other things that you saw for Travis was he didn't take off to run. Like he did run, but that wasn't his first instinct. And that's something we talked about in the preview was, hey, you have some really good receivers let's go ahead and use them. And that's exactly what they did with Coleman coming in, with Wilson, of course, even with the running back. What's his name? No, not the running back, the tight end, right? Bell from South Carolina. Like you or is he running back? Regardless, you used your receivers, you used your skilled players, you had the advantage. LSU was still gelling on defense, and you were able to get the ball out to your playmakers and do it often, right? So I thought he played really, really well, especially after those head scratching plays. The ability for quarterbacks to bounce back is such an underrated quality, and he did that perfectly in last night's game, or a few days ago, depending when you're watching this game. Yeah, Jordan Travis thought he played great after that head scratching plays. And one more thing that Travis, I think, did was he bounced back from some drops. There were 3 big drops, at least in the first half, that Florida State had that would have kept that momentum going, that would have, helped Florida State to convert on some plays they should have converted. Like 3 easy drops, not tough throws, not tough plays to catch, or not tough balls to catch, just easy drops, right? Sometimes as a quarterback, that can kind of get in your head. But again, another example of Travis just bouncing back, playing within himself. That Florida State team looks really good, pretty much from every position. I know LSU did get some pressure, I believe. I don't think they had any sacks, if I'm not mistaken. But Travis was having to scramble some. But overall, I thought it was, passing wise from Jordan Travis, a good game, good job responding. He definitely wants to clean up some of that, but I thought he did really good. Yeah, one bad drop on third down. Yep, Colin, definitely was a bad drop. I think that was from Wilson and Bell. Both had bad drops on that. Let's see. FSU's second half was dominating. They looked like a college football team for sure. I agree. The second half, FSU was dominating, right? They went. It was like 38-17. I think it was 17-14 at halftime, and then Florida State scored. I can't do math very good, but they got to, I think, 38 points before LSU scored the next points. Maybe it was 40-something points. Regardless, they went in a big run, and LSU scored 0, right? So I think from a full game standpoint, the team looked great. The quarterback position, you got to be happy with how Travis was able to bounce back, because that first quarter and a half, I was like, man, Travis just doesn't look like himself. Like he just didn't look like himself. He was a little shaky, but after that bad head scratching throw, like he looked like the guy we know from last year who took care of the ball, was precise, did good in the pocket. There were several times LSU was dropping 8 guys, dropping 8 guys, only bringing 3, and Travis was able to just decipher the defense, stay in the pocket, and deliver strikes. So I thought Travis played really, really well. And you like seeing that with quarterbacks. You like seeing the adversity happen and then being able to bounce back. Let's talk some Jayden Daniels too, because I don't think this loss was all on him by any means. I thought he actually played pretty well. Of course, there's some stuff you want back, but I thought he played pretty well. He's dangerous with his legs, as always. But there were some bad drops from his receivers as well. And you heard about how good both receiving cores were. Well, there were definitely some drops. And LSU maybe had more than Florida State. I can think of 3 right off the top of my head, which is the exact amount I can think of Florida State, but they could have had more. One was a for sure touchdown pass. I know it was it Thomas, I believe? I can't remember who it was to, but it was a deep ball. And it was definitely a potential touchdown pass, or at least getting close to the red zone. That could have been a game changer. There are several game-changing opportunities and situations that LSU failed to convert on. I don't think that's Jayden Daniels' fault. I think, one, you got to give credit to Florida State's defense, because they bowed up and they stopped it. They stopped the running game in short yard situations. 2, there were drops. That's not Jayden Daniels' fault by any means. And 3, you can question play calling all you want, but I don't know. Play calling is hard. I'd much rather sit back on my couch and watch, because I don't know what I would do with these play calls. I don't like to blame play calling. I think in this situation, you can just talk about the execution of it, with the receivers dropping the ball, not executing, and then with Florida State being able to just beat LSU when it came to the line of scrimmage. But yeah, I still think Jayden Daniels is a good quarterback for LSU's offense. I love Nussmeier, the backup, of course. I think he really pushed it downfield, but you saw some good things from Daniels too. I thought you saw the ability to stay in the pocket a bit more, let plays develop. But even with that, man, Daniels is so dangerous with his legs. You want him to take off and run. Like, that's okay. That needs to happen as long as you can push the ball vertically downfield, which, again, if these drops didn't happen, maybe we're talking about this game in a different light. Maybe FSU still wins, but maybe it's a close 35-34 type game or something. I don't know. But regardless, the drops did play a big role for sure, and was a big factor. Still like Daniel. Still think he's a talented Q, of course. But yeah, definitely not on him, if you ask me. All right, let's keep on rolling. Let's talk some Drake Maye, Spencer Rattler, UNC, South Carolina. Drake Maye, not super sharp starting off, had a few picks. But then kind of picked it up, was able to pull away a little bit. Slow start, but pulled away, and they had like 163, 165 yards rushing, so they didn't need to lean on Maye. And Maye didn't even, he wasn't even the leading rusher. I think last year he led the team with like 600 yards on the ground. I think he had like 25 yards rushing against South Carolina. So I think if you're a North Carolina fan, with if you combine how well your defense played, then you combine the fact that you're able to get the run game going, and Maye wasn't even a leading rusher. He had 25 yards out of your 163. That's a good sign, because you had to lean on Maye so much last year. This was a good sign that you didn't necessarily have to lean on Maye to get the job done. Still played good. Wasn't his best game, but still played good. All right, we'll talk some Spencer Rattler. And guys, if you have any other quarterbacks you want to talk about, we don't have a ton in the chat, but if there's any other quarterbacks that y'all want to talk about, y'all let us know, and we'll just jump into that. And we'll talk some quarterback or any other topics as well. We got some good stuff coming up. I'm going to talk some Bama quarterbacks, Ohio State, how we thought the McCord and Devin Brown situation was. And then we'll talk some G5 quarterbacks as well. We have a list of QBs that people send our way that want us to break down these quarterbacks. We can't break down every quarterback, but we're definitely going to hit on these quarterbacks that were sent our way. But again, if you have any topics, stuff you want to hit on, y'all let us know in these comments or in the chat, I guess. I'm getting the hang of this live stuff. Maybe we'll see if we can grow it. Okay, so let's talk Spencer Rattler. I thought Spencer Rattler actually played a good game. There's some times he still held on the ball too long, yes. But I think he was sacked, 9 times or something? And that's not all on him. He didn't throw a pick. He threw for 300-something yards passing. If you would have told me that Spencer Rattler would have 0 interceptions, I think he had a few touchdowns, 300-plus yards passing, I would say, man, South Carolina probably won the game, because that was my biggest thing coming into this game for Spencer Rattler was, have I covered Texas QBs? We'll get there next, David. Thanks, man. That's good. But yeah, if you would have told me that Spencer Rattler would have these numbers and they would have lost, and he wouldn't throw any picks, and I would have been shocked, right? So I was kind of surprised that they lost by 2 scores, and the fact Rattler played pretty well. Now, there's some stuff to clean up, of course, talking about holding on the ball, but one of the biggest previews, one of the biggest kind of takeaways we had in the game preview was, if Rattler doesn't turn the ball over and doesn't do too much, they're going to be in a good situation to potentially win. You don't want to give Drake Maye any second opportunities to score. And so fast forward to the game happening, it was Maye who had 2 interceptions and not Rattler. And so I think if you're a South Carolina fan, maybe there's some other holes, some other chinks in the armor, right? But yeah, I thought Rattler played good enough for South Carolina to win. There's some other issues that went on. Yeah, he held on the ball at times, but still he took a ton of hits, took a ton of sacks. There's just some stuff to clean up if you're South Carolina in general. But overall, I thought Spencer Rattler was actually able to play pretty well. And I had someone comment that, hey, it was the same Spencer Rattler as of old. Just because he had 2 good games last year doesn't mean he's doing that again. Well, I thought he played pretty well. It wasn't the Spencer Rattler of old that this guy was referring to. I thought he played pretty well. There's always improvements to be made, but I thought he played pretty well. All right, Texas quarterbacks. Always a fun topic to talk, right? Texas is like, we live in Austin. Texas is a team where it's must-watch TV. It is, right, for the fact that they can be really good, or it can be like a dramedy, right, where it's just so much drama going on. You got to keep up with what's going on. So who knows if this season is different, but the Texas QBs, Quinn Ewers, right, he's getting some flack right now with some of these balls that were missed downfield, some downfield throws. I think they were 0 of 7 for 20-plus yards downfield. Don't quote me on that. I probably have the PFF grade, actually. If I can pull it up, we can see where he's at. If y'all bear with me for a second, let's see where Quinn Ewers ended up being for PFF. Okay, 177, 78. I don't know how they do this, but he was definitely the second half of PFF grade. So they graded him at 66. So for some context, the number 1 PFF grade was Michael Pratt from Tulane, and he was at 94 offensively. Passing, he was at 98, which we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, PFF, they have some really cool numbers to keep up with. But Quinn Ewers, I saw Sark come out today, and they talked about those deep passes that were missed, and they said that after watching the film, which again, we were just speculating. I'm just some guy on YouTube speculating. We don't know what the receivers are supposed to do, how the routes are supposed to be ran, where the ball is supposed to be placed. So it could be a bad ball, or we think it's a bad ball, but the coach says it's a good ball. It's a catchable ball, right? So it's just some good stuff to keep in mind. We don't know what the coach is telling the QBs or receivers to do. But anyways, Sark came out and said that after watching some of these plays, and not all these throws were on Quinn Ewers, or some wrong routes by the receivers, or not wrong routes, but they didn't run the routes as according to how they wanted them to run it, right? So not all on Ewers. Now, talking to some people around in Austin, they think it's a quick, easy fix for Ewers, these deep throws. Guys that are smarter than me, whether it's footwork stuff, arm position stuff, I don't know, but guys that are smarter than me when it comes to quarterback position and breaking it down says it's a quick fix. So he's probably in there, probably figuring it out. They're probably going to be okay. It's Rice. It's okay if you sleptwalk because you won. He was still out, but he had 37 points. They pulled him, third quarter and the beginning of the fourth quarter. So not too concerned. It wasn't like a game that you were excited about. You're like, oh, man, if you're a Texas fan, you came away feeling great about. But, you got Alabama coming up. So I think if you're a play caller, you're okay coming away with a good win against Rice, not having to show too much, even though Saban knows what Sark's probably going to be running or has a decent idea. But still, you weren't able to show too much. You kept it vanilla. Or is it vanilla or vanilla? Let's go with vanilla. You kept it vanilla, and you're able to get the dub. So that's good. I want to see yours ball out against Bama. I do too. As an Aggie fan in Austin, I would say they looked better in the second half. Oh, Colin, I know you were in Austin. Awesome, dude. Let me know what part. We're over here in kind of the dripping area. But yeah, we're in this Austin area as well. So Noah, what's going on, dude? We'll talk some UNT QBs coming up for sure, brother. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, Colin. As an Aggie fan in Austin, I would say they looked better in the second half. They definitely did. I think that's when they pulled away. And Quinn Ewers, I think he'll be fine, right? You struggle against Rice, so you can play well against Bama. You know what I mean? If that kind of makes sense, kind of an oxymoron. But yeah, not too concerned. Now, maybe if this is week 2 and 3 and the same issues are happening, or week 3 and 4, then maybe you have a conversation about that, right? But again, listen to what Sark said. It wasn't all on Quinn Ewers. So, and even with that, they won the game handily, right? Nothing too much there. Okay, let's talk some Joe Milton, Tennessee. He was the guy that we got asked about on Twitter and his performance against Virginia. If you were just to look at the box score, you would say, okay, he was more accurate. He was 22 of 30, something like that, 21, 39, or 29, something like that. But his yards per attempt were under 7. So you're like, okay, he wasn't pushing the ball downfield. What's going on with that? He was just, dink and dunk and whatever, right? If that offense, you want to be pushing 9 yards per attempt. However, if you watch the game, you saw Milton, was more accurate than usual, or at least historically, in what his concerns were. And the deep balls, overshooting receivers, which is one of his negative criticisms, I guess. He hit a guy. It was early in the game. He hit someone in stride. It was I don't know how 40, 50 yards downfield. Hit him in stride, right? If that receiver catches that, it's a touchdown. That's probably a 50, 60-yard touchdown that goes into the stat sheet, whatever it was. Now you add that yards to the yardage. So that could have changed the I guess, thought process or the takeaways of Milton's game against Virginia. But kind of like Texas against Rice, like you pulled away. They started off slow. They pulled away. They did everything fine. There was, I think, one really bad, inaccurate throw I saw of Milton. But other than that, I thought he played pretty well. He did exactly what you wanted to do. It was fine. It was fine. If the receiver catches it, then they're probably saying, hey, Milton played a pretty freaking good game, right? But, with that said, you get a big W, you get a big win. He was able to come out at the end of the game, and, Nico was able to come in and play. And so, again, I think it's a good start for Milton. I thought he showed some good accuracy. And, again, if that receiver catches the ball that was dropped, people are probably talking about this in a different light. This is why it's good to you want to check out the box score, you want to read the stats, but you want to make sure that you have some eyes on the games as well if you're going to kind of discuss or talk about it or have a take, essentially, right? Don't want to be a box score analyst, essentially. You want to just have some eyes on it. All right, let's keep going. Joe Milton. Guys, again, if y'all have any other quarterbacks you want to talk about, just quarterback topics in general, y'all let us know. Anything that any type of recap from week 1 you want to talk about, let us know. Again, we do all things quarterbacks. We have several lives throughout the week, film breakdowns, quarterbacks that come on the podcast and talk about just quarterback-related topics. So, again, just a big quarterback hub over at the QB Spotlight, all right, let's keep moving on. Michael Penix. Got to touch on Michael Penix. He quietly threw for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns against Boise State. It's a pretty good Mountain West team, and I think they were only favored by 2 TDs or 2 touchdowns, and they were able to come out and just totally dominate Boise State. So I think Penix kind of picked up where he left off, right? Another big takeaway in that game from Penix was his yards per attempt. Had 11 yards per attempt, so he's just slinging that thing, right? Underrated quarterback from the grand scheme of things. If you keep up with college football, you know that the steps he made last year were pretty big steps from Indiana to Washington. So good start from Penix. Boise State did exactly what you're supposed to do against a team like Boise State and more. Like I would have been, if this game was 35-17, you would have been like, okay, Washington handled the business. But it was like, was it 50? Did they get a 50 burger on him? I know it was high 40s. I can't remember the exact score. I think Penix had one of the best games. Let's see, PFF. Where's Penix? I have him at 28. Is that right? Well, he's higher in my book, right? I don't know how they do all the PFF stuff. We can go to that later. I did used to do some stuff at PFF, so I have a little idea of how they grade these things. Penix 450, 5 TDs, 11 yards per attempt. Can't get much better than that, right? All right, a few more quarterbacks I want to hit on. Again, let us know in the comments if there's anyone else you want to talk about. All right, we got to talk about. Okay, we got Ohio State and Alabama quarterbacks we have to talk on. Let's go Jalen Milroe first, because he actually got a pretty good grade with PFF. They did he was number 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 actually, number 6. Really good job. So 92 offensively, 84 rating passing wise, right? So that puts him pretty high. And then even rushing, he was up at 87, which is, I think that was the highest, highest rushing grade as a quarterback this week was 87. Jalen Milroe. No big surprise there, especially if you saw that bad snap that he picked up and ran 20-something yards for a touchdown. So takeaways. Yes, it was Middle Tennessee State. I understand that. But he's got to be QB1. He's got to be quarterback 1 right now for a few reasons. The ability to use his legs when something breaks down, the other quarterbacks don't have that same ability. They're pretty good athletes still. Like I don't want it to seem like they're not athletes. Like Buckner's a really good athlete. Simpson's a good athlete too. But Milroe is probably the best athlete on the field whenever he's on the field. So you know that with his legs, you know he can run. He adds that element to it. But he was 13 of 18 passing, had 3 touchdowns. Did exactly what you wanted to do. Only had 5 incompletions. I know it was Middle Tennessee State, but it's a good start. It's exactly what you wanted to see. You didn't want to see an 11 of 22 type performance, right? 13 of 18. Efficient. They didn't need to pass that much against Middle Tennessee State. Had 3 touchdowns. Had some nice balls too. So that's encouraging if you're a Bama fan. You got Texas coming up. This is the big test, though, I think, obviously, and we'll get into that. But this is the big test. I think this is what you can kind of judge and form some opinions after this Texas game. But starting off and where we are right now, QB1, you got to be happy if you're an Alabama fan. Ohio State, I think that's a little different. I think they're in a little different position because, they won 23-3. I think it was handily. Defense looked great. I want to give some credit to Indiana's defense as well. You know, they were able to limit Ohio State, and they had them in the game. Indiana's defense kept them in the game. So I want to give some credit to Indiana's defense, but they just weren't able to push the ball downfield. It wasn't the same Ohio State offense that you're used to seeing with Justin Fields and CJ Stroud. Like, there was no vertical threat necessarily. There was one drive I remember, I think it was the drive that got them from 10-17, where I was like, okay, this is the Ohio State I'm used to seeing, where they marched down the field, some big passes, touchdown. But besides that, they just struggled. So I don't know if y'all watched the game, if y'all have any thoughts on the game y'all want to talk about with Ohio State. But Kyle McCord, the starter, I thought we were going to see more of Devin Brown. We really didn't. What we saw a series or two, something like that. I can't remember exactly how many. But McCord was the guy they stuck with. So, I guess we'll see. That's just something to continue to monitor. My biggest takeaway was nothing was pushed downfield. He had 7.2 yards per attempt, which, again, in that offense, you want to be probably closer to the 9-ish range, at least 8.5 plus, right? And so, I think we also this probably also shows us how good CJ Stroud was and was at Ohio State, and how good Justin Fields was. Because we just expected, me included, I talked about in this channel, like whoever is going to be the quarterback at Ohio State is going to come in and just ball out. And I'm not saying that won't happen. I'd still probably say Kyle McCord probably still is going to come in, or Devin Brown. They're going to develop and probably have a pretty good season. But I think there's some fair concern if you're a Ohio State fan, like, oh my gosh, this is the offense, like what's going on? But it's week 1. You don't want to overreact. We're going to see as the season continues. But 7.2 yards per attempt. You want that a bit higher. You want to attack vertically. You want to push the ball downfield a bit more. So I think Ohio State's quarterback is still kind of up in the air. It's still kind of a wait and see thing. If you're an Ohio State fan, hey, you still won by 20. Still a good win. You still got the best receivers arguably in college football as a group, right? So I still think you're in a good position. Good position there. Oh, man. Okay. Let's keep chugging along. Again, any questions, any quarterback topics, y'all let us know. I'm going to get a quick swig. All right, so we'll keep chugging. We got some good film breakdowns coming up this week. We got let's see, Colorado and Nebraska. We got a few more that I'll get into, but we'll keep recapping these cues. So other guys that we got mentioned: Grant Wells from Virginia Tech got sent our way. Plummer from Louisville got sent our way. I didn't get a ton of eyes. I got some eyes on Plummer. I didn't get a ton of eyes on Grant Wells. He was 17 and 19 or 17 and 29, I believe. 3 TDs, had a rushing touchdown, so 4 total touchdowns. Kind of what Grant Wells was at Marshall, right? Pushed the ball downfield, had some big plays. Not a super high completion percentage. Again, don't know if there were drops. Haven't really dove into Wells, but hey, you got the win by close to 3 touchdowns against Old Dominion. You gotta be happy if you're Vodtech. And so, again, not much of Grant Wells. Oh, the big takeaway: there were no turnovers. That's happy. I think he had his TD to interception ratio last year was 1-to-1, or maybe even worse, but something in that range. So I think if you're a Vodtech fan, Virginia Tech fan, you gotta be happy about that with Grant Wells. Plummer. I thought Plummer played well in the second half. That was a really good game. If y'all didn't watch that game with Louisville and Georgia Tech, Haynes King played really well for Georgia Tech. Had that big fumble at the end of the game, but I thought they both played pretty well. Plummer had a slow start. Didn't really push the ball downfield that much. They got 31 attempts for 240-ish yards. I think he had 1 pick, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me. I think he had 1 pick, but I think Plummer's going to fit this offense well. He already knows his head coach. He already knows the offensive system. But again, against Georgia Tech, you'll take that win. You'll take 18-31 for 240-ish yards and a couple touchdowns and a win if you're a Louisville fan. So I'm sure you wanted to see a bit more efficiency. I'm sure you wanted to see the ball pushed downfield a bit more. But week 1, you'll take that if you are Plummer for sure. All right, so I got some G5 quarterbacks I want to talk about. So Noah, if you're still here, let me know, and we'll talk some UNT QBs. Maybe you got some insight for us. But yeah, we'll talk some G5 quarterbacks and then kind of go over what we got going on this week. But again, any other quarterback topics, anything else, whatever it may be, let us know in the chat, and we'll dive into it. Okay, so let's talk about. All right, so I just tweeted this out a few hours ago. I don't know if you saw this. The top 2 quarterbacks. Top 2 PFF ranked quarterbacks. Again, take that with a grain of salt for the gradings. Whether you like analytics or don't, I think there's a place for it. I'm right in the middle. There's good stuff for it, the stuff they don't care about. But anyways, I think there's good stuff for it. Anyways, with that said, Michael Pratt from Tulane and TJ Finley from Texas State, number 1 and 2 for the PFF grades. Great games that they had. Incredible games that they had. Giving some G5 love to these quarterbacks. Michael Pratt was 14 of 15 passing, 4 touchdowns, 90-something yards in the air. Just did everything you wanted him to do. I think he was 4-4 passing of 20 yards down, of throws of 20 yards downfield with 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns. It's outstanding. And TJ Finley was kind of similar. He was 5 of 10 of 20 yards downfield with 2 touchdowns. And then versus the blitz, Michael Pratt was 8 of 8. TJ Finley was 11 of 17. No picks for either of them. Played fantastic. Great job by TJ Finley and great job by Michael Pratt. Michael Pratt, Tulane. TJ Finley at Texas State. Again, TJ Finley, y'all know him from LSU and Auburn. And Sean Rutherford, close friend of mine down here, who trains quarterbacks, has worked with TJ some. And he even talked about, TJ was just prepared. He was just ready. Coach Keene, right? Coach Keene. He was prepared, had TJ in a good position. So kudos to both those guys being in a good position to succeed. And it was cool to see he was accurate. I think he was 73% completion percentage. So good for TJ and good for Michael Pratt. They both played awesome. Some good quarterback play at the Group of 5 level. A few more guys I want to hit on from the G5 level. Preston Stone, SMU quarterback. Most people probably have heard of him. He's a big recruit, right? Had a good game against La Tech. They got a big one coming up against Oklahoma. That's where it really starts. If Preston Stone has a big game against Oklahoma, you're going to hear that name a lot. So remember Preston Stone, SMU quarterback. Kid's a stud, right? Oklahoma coming up. Dylan Gabriel, of course, he had a bazillion yards passing against Arkansas State. So I didn't even mention that. A few more guys we want to hit on. Mikey Keene, Fresno State. He's the reason why Fresno State was able to beat Purdue. Purdue's offense played well. Hudson Card did some good things. They scored, 35 points? I think was it 39-35? I can't remember the exact score, but Mikey Keene balled out, former UCF quarterback who's now at Fresno State. Played a really good game. It's good. Kudos to Mikey Keene. And there was one more G5 quarterback that I wanted to mention, and I failed to write it down. So I apologize. That's on me, guys. All right. So real quick, let us know if you got any comments, any of the quarterback topics you want to go on. I'm going to scroll through some of these matchups real quick and see if we missed anything. Any of the quarterbacks. Graham Mertz from Florida. Yeah, not great. Not great. That was someone else that people wanted us to talk about and mention. I don't think he did anything horrible necessarily. It's just there were no big plays made. Hit Parasol a few times at the end of the game. Nothing crazy there, right? Not super great. We'll keep moving on. Keep moving on. Again, let us know if you got any comments. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot. This is my bad, guys. My bad. This has been awful if I forgot this. All right, Drew Allar, Penn State. Lived up to the hype. Game one, lived up to the hype. One of the most talked about quarterbacks in the whole all season, and he lived up to the hype in game one. I thought he played really, really well, and we put out a film breakdown of him too. Some takeaways. Man, he's able to move in the pocket pretty damn well, right? Like move in the pocket well, keep his eyes downfield. And he's got a rocket. Like that arm is special. Penn State could be really, really good. This is a quarterback, they're so excited about. But the throws he's able to make, like you saw him move in the pocket, step up in the pocket, like stay in the pocket, but be able to be mobile in the pocket, eyes downfield, throw a rope. That first touchdown, 75 yards in the air, or 75-yard touchdown, he moved in the pocket, stepped up, boom. Had several good throws where he escaped the pocket, threw on the run, showcased a really good arm on the run, but also the ability to escape and use his legs. And then, of course, also showed the ability just to rip it from the pocket, 3-step and a hitch, rhythm throws, throw your guys open. Just did really, really good. Yeah, so Drew Allar, game one, lived up to the hype. I was impressed. And West Virginia played, that was a salty, I shouldn't say salty, but they played tough. They played hard. I thought it was a good fought game. I hope West Virginia does well because I like pulling up those guys. But that Drew Allar overall played really well. It's all you can ask for from that first game. Played really well. Good touchdowns. Again, able to make any throw on the field. And really impressed with his ability to move in the pocket. So Drew Allar, I can't believe I almost missed him. I apologize for that, guys. It took me so long to freaking talk about him too. Tanner Mordecai with Wisconsin, not a great first showing. Chandler Morris at TCU. I know we talked a lot about Shedeur Sanders, but Chandler Morris at TCU. I mean, TCU's run game did well, and Morris flashed at times, but if you're a TCU fan, not the performance you want, the turnovers. So yeah, Chandler Morris. Let's keep going down the list. Again, guys, if there's any other quarterbacks you want us to talk about before we finish up, let us know in the comments below, and we'll dive into it. We've been able to hit most quarterback. Again, Jackson Arnold for Oklahoma. I know it was a blowout, but fans got to be excited to see Jackson Arnold come in and play for Dillon Gabriel. Gabriel played well, great as well. Let's keep it chugging, Anyone else, any other quarterbacks y'all want us to talk about, quarterback topics y'all want us to dive into? Trying to hit this box score real quick. Casey Thompson was someone that people want us to talk about. I usually don't dive into game film when quarterbacks play an FCS school. But yeah, he did exactly what you wanted to do, 200 yards passing and a win for FAU. Someone else, Garrett Green, West Virginia quarterback. That was someone that people reached out and want us to mention as well and do a film breakdown. Probably won't do a film breakdown on him just for a simple time it takes to dive into that. But I thought he showed some good stuff, right? I thought he was tough. He used his legs. He's a tough quarterback. I think, you still want to develop the passing game and the offense. And for West Virginia, the passing is a bit different. Sometimes it can be an extension of the run game, essentially, with all the quick screens and the quick, ways they develop they have to get the ball out quick. But I like Garrett Green. I think he got some moxie to him. I hope he has a good season. For me, that's a wait and see quarterback, Garrett Green at West Virginia. But yeah, that was a request to do. But again, maybe we'll do that if we get more down the season. We'll do. But I thought he showed some good stuff, right? I thought he showed some good stuff. I think there's some talent there. Now I just think it's like completing that around him. I thought he faced a pretty good Penn State defense. And so maybe when you're against competition that's not Penn State, you can demonstrate more ability, right? But again, he can run with his legs, tough guy. Those type of quarterbacks you can develop, and there's something there in the college game with those type of quarterbacks. All right, let's see if there's anything else you want to touch on, anything else to finish up on. Did I miss anything? Yeah, let me know. Cam Ward for Washington State, balled out, 451 yards against Colorado State. Fantastic. What else do we miss? Yeah, I think that's about all we got, everyone, for the week one recap. Unless I missed someone or someone y'all want me to touch on, y'all let me know in the comments or in the chat. Looking forward to watching Duke and Clemson tonight. I'm really interested to see. Oh, nice, Colin. I'm really interested to see Klubnik and Garrett Riley's system against an Elko defense tonight. Yeah, me too. I really am. Klubnik's a stud, right? And if you're from Austin, you obviously know about him being in Westlake. Klubnik's a stud. I'm actually really excited to see Riley Leonard for Duke. I watched him some last year, but he may be the most underrated quarterback in all of college football. Kid's a stud, freak athlete. Just put up bonkers numbers for a Duke quarterback last year. I think he's a stud. I'm excited to watch him, but you're right. I'm excited to watch Klubnik too. You can't take Duke lightly here. This could be a good game. I think right now Clemson's like a 13 and a half favorite, depending where you're shopping around from. But I think this is going to be a good game. I'm actually really looking forward to watching some Clemson and Duke here in about an hour 20 or so. But yeah, I'm with you, Colin. I'm interested to see Klubnik and Garrett Riley's system, because if Garrett Riley's system hits how Clemson fans think it's going to, or what's being talked about, they could be back in that college football playoff race. And I think that's probably where they belong. But Florida State, man, that's another that's another topic from down the road, because you got Florida State and Clemson kind of battling out for that. But yeah, I'm with the Colin. I'm excited to see that as well. Guys, if there's anything else, y'all let us know. And hey, if you like this type of content, please like, subscribe, share with your friends. I'm going to try to do a better job at being consistent with these lives, hitting them 2 times a week. We'll do a recap like we're doing now, and then we'll do a preview. That preview is going to be on Wednesday at 7 Central, and we'll be previewing these games. So if y'all want us to preview a certain quarterback for that game, just message me on Twitter, DM. Oh, yeah, QB Spotlight. Let's see, Dre, what do we got? Dre, thanks for commenting, Dre. Sanders on a level. I'm still in shock from Saturday night. What a game. I rewatched the game 3 times. Good for you, dude. You need to. Congrats. Sanders, elite quarterback. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Good for you. Rewatch it a 4th time. I think that's awesome. Yeah, we talked about Sanders at the beginning of the show, Dre. If you want to kind of go back after the show is done and catch him. And we put out a film breakdown of Sanders from the game against TCU yesterday. We put that out. But yeah, I'm with you. Sanders, processing defense really quick, balls out quick, then you take your shots deep. A lot of underrated qualities in quarterback that Sanders has. And a lot of times elite quarterbacks have those underrated qualities, right? Processing defense, the ball's out quick, know what to do from pre-snap to post-snap. That's something Sanders showcased yesterday. Awesome stuff. Yeah, watch it a 4th time, dude. It won't get old, especially if you're a Colorado fan. But yeah, so we'll have another live show on Wednesday at 7. So please come in, tune in. We'll try to grow this and be consistent, kind of push us and keep it going. The film breakdowns that we're going to have out right now, if y'all want any quarterback breakdowns for this week, I'm usually going to put them out tomorrow. I'll put out a few, and then Wednesday I'll put out a few. And it's just going to be the broadcast footage. Nothing, the all 22 isn't a won't be working right now, but yeah, y'all let us know if y'all want any specific quarterback. Right now, we're doing Sanders against Nebraska. We're doing a breakdown. We're also doing Alabama, Texas breakdown, what each quarterback needs to do against each one. We're doing A&M against Miami, what Wigman needs to do against Miami, what Van Dyke needs to do against A&M. We'll have several kind of quick film-ish breakdowns of those, but just kind of talking about what each quarterback needs to do to execute. So that's all we got for today. Again, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, all that YouTube podcast stuff. It really does helps the channel. And again, if there's any other requests, y'all let us know. Again, QB Spotlight on Twitter. Y'all follow us, shoot us a DM if y'all want us to do a certain type of show or add anything. And like, subscribe, and sincerely, everyone, thanks for tuning in and watching. And we'll keep this train rolling. Oregon looks dangerous right now. Yeah, Dre, you're right. We're gonna see them when they don't play when they play a better competition. But you're right. So far, good week 1. They look dangerous. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for watching, Jerry. We appreciate everyone watching. And we're going to be out of here. Like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. We'll see you next time. Peace.